Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cobbletalk, a Penguin podcast. Today, when does this release? In the morning sometime? Who knows when you'll watch it? We're talking about episode number 7 of The Penguin. I'm joined here by lovely gentlemen all around. Let's go around and just talk about what we thought, our high-level thoughts of the episode. And also, hope you're all doing well. Justin, since you're drinking, you get to go first.
Sure, perfect. Since I just finished, I think it's about. Well, actually, I think it was really good overall, as per usual with this show. The flashbacks were a lot shorter than I had anticipated, which I think is good. Actually, we got a lot out of them, so that was cool. It was unexpected, but when then it showed what happens, it was expected. I don't know if that makes any sense of this character, but yeah, this shows. Well, actually, hold on. Sorry, backing up. 47 minutes when I saw the length of this episode, and I'm like, okay, I think this is the shortest episode we've had so far.
Yeah,
great. What are we gonna get out of it? A lot. All leading up to the final episode. So I think this episode did a lot of good setup for what I'm assuming is going to be a pretty action-packed finale.
Yeah, agreed. Lockmort, how'd you feel?
I'm a little bit mixed on it. I thought it was
You scumbag.
good.
Unbelievable.
My biggest takeaway is that we have a firm date of when the whole show, when the Batman and everything takes place now, because they mentioned Beetlejuice, which came out in 1998. So that's when the flashback takes place, and then we can date the whole thing. I thought the flashback was good, except I expected way more from Rex, since he mentioned him so many times, and to only get this, it's like, okay, I guess that was just filler, which kind of makes me worried for the last episode, because I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think we're going to get another flashback to them, which means that a lot of this show was filler, which I'm not a fan of. That's my big takeaway.
Bill?
Yeah, this is, relatively speaking, this is probably my least favorite episode of the whole season so far. But like you guys said with last week's episode, it's still better than like a vast majority of television that you're going to see week in and week out, right? So, we'll go into more why there's certain moments that kind of like I was kind of unsure about, but no, overall it was good. And yeah, again, just a really good ending. That's the thing about this show. They know how to start the episodes and they know how to end them. So, it's another case of like, how is Penguin going to get out of this next week? But we'll find out, obviously. And I thought it was, I was never bored. So for television, that's the very baseline you can expect. And so, that's my overall thoughts.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I thought it was, a pretty good episode. We all kind of presumed it was going to be, hopefully, the final flashback episode. But they did it in such a way, as Justin mentioned, that it wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. We did have some lingering questions out there about Oz's past and about his family and everything. And we kind of got that answered. I agree with Locke that we didn't really, we've talked about Rex on every episode. And we got, a 30-second scene with him, and it felt like, okay, what was the whole point? There's no motivation here that brings you forward. A couple unexpected things in this episode in general, and frankly, a lot of things I was like, yeah, of course, of course that was going to happen. So let's start breaking it down. We start off the episode entirely with the flashback back to Oz's childhood. We see him hanging out with his mom, helping her out with stuff, Francis. And eventually his brothers come home. They want to go... Francis wants them to go out, wants them to take Oz with them. And Oz wants to stay home. He's a mama's boy through and through. And we see him just repeatedly say, I want to stay home and help with mom. Another thing we see in this scene is that his leg... The disability he has with his leg is not something that had in adulthood. It was definitely something that was from childhood, at least either from birth or from being a young child. So let's go through this, just briefly. this first scene here, seeing the dynamics at play with the brothers, seeing the dynamics at play with his mom, and if you have any thoughts about, I don't know if there are any thoughts about the leg, but anything there before we get to the point where they leave the apartment. I know that's a very short part, so we'll make it a very short comment part as well. Bill, we'll go in reverse order here.
Yeah, because you guys had always been talking about, doing a whole flashback episode, and it was getting to the point where we're running pretty low on the number of episodes, right? So it was like we're getting down to like 4 episodes left and 3 and now 2, and I was like, at this point, I don't think they're going to do a whole flashback episode. I was thinking like it's probably going to be a cold open, and sure enough, when it started, I'm like, aha,
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I thought it was good, and yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. I was a little bit befuddled by the, I guess, slight, if you will, to Rex, but I don't know what the writers and showrunners' intent was. My suspicion, maybe my guess, it was almost like a demystifying of Rex Calabrese. Like it was the Rex Calabrese that Child Penguin had in his head of this like larger than life figure that helps out the community, and then you see him and he's just like, he's almost like a stereotype of like an Italian gangster, right? He has like the really greasy hair. He talks, with a exaggerated New York accent, and it was almost like a demystifying of him. I think maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know, but what it took out of that first flashback is you kind of got that sense of the Penguin even back then when he was a kid, because what spurred his decision was them sort of passively making fun of him with, like,
you
they
didn't
knew
listen
he
to a
wasn't
damn
gonna.
thing I said, did you?
What?
To set up. So
What?
you didn't listen to a damn thing I asked what you thought about up until the point where they left the apartment.
Oh yeah, I know. I just ramble on when they left the apartment. No, a lot of that didn't even stick with me, to be honest with you, because I was so engrossed with the decision he made. But
right,
no,
we'll get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
We'll
Okay.
get there.
Okay.
Well, we might as well do the entire
Yeah,
flashback.
you're
Yeah, so
probably
it's like the
right.
whole
Let's just
flashback.
go on.
Yeah.
I just particularly think the mama's boy aspect
Oh yeah,
is such
yeah.
a huge motivation for that. That's the point I was going to make, is just that I think that part of his character is such a huge motivation for all the decisions he has made in life. And I also think that the kind of, we didn't get much of Rex and it was disappointing, but also the fact that we didn't get much of Rex makes me feel like he's basing his entire, what he wants to be his persona, on like some figment of a person that he didn't really actually have that much interaction with, or wasn't maybe actually as good as he thought he was, or anything like that. So I don't know, but yeah, the whole flashback up to the point where, they go off, the brothers get trapped. He traps his brothers specifically, and then goes home to hang out with mom some more. But yeah, guys, take it away however you want. Bill, you're welcome. You can finish your thought there.
No, so my final point was that it was, even you saw back then, he lashed out in a moment of frustration and really anger at basically killing his own brothers, leaving them there to die. It was the same as really the cold opening of the show, where it's like, you're not going to make fun of him, right? So it was like, oh, he was even that way even back then. And yeah, that whole kind of capping end to that flashback was what stuck out with me as a lasting impression for the basis of his character, or at least part of his character. So,
Locke, take it away.
I think we're giving, all of us or everyone is giving this show too much credit for what it really is. I think this flashback showcased that it's really not that great, the story itself, but the cinematography and the acting is so good that you forget about that. Like when the brothers get trapped, you can like hear them drown behind the door. You can see the water rise by the water level rise by the door. That's amazing. That's awesome. But his motivation is stupid. It's like ridiculous, like writing 101. So I think I'm very disappointed, really. When this show started, I thought it was going to be something special, but I can definitely see where IGN's 5 is coming from now. Because I think this episode kind of destroyed his character for me. He's an idiot. He's an asshole. That's it. There's no deep motivation. Nobody slighted him. There's no special thing, no special motivation. There's really nothing. He's just an asshole. And we can see that throughout the episode too. We'll get to that later. But there's nothing really special about the guy, which makes me sad. But other than that, I still thought it was great. I still thought the flashback was cool. I enjoyed it. Like Bill said, I was never bored throughout the episode. But The Sopranos, this is not.
Mm-hmm. That is very true.
Yeah, I mean,
Just-
I find that interesting, Locke, that like you're thinking that because there's nothing special about Cobb, that's actually kind of a slight against the show and the story. I think in a way it kind of plays into it, because in reality, we're talking about a villain against Batman, right? In reality, the person that in this universe that matters is Bruce Wayne. So you're bringing in the Penguin and adding depth to him, but yeah, in a way he does kind of trip over into his success, like which we see very clearly later on in the episode with a honestly ridiculous moment that they play up, which I think is interesting, and I think it does show a little bit more of his character. And again, we'll get to that. But with the beginning with his brothers, I don't know if he did that knowing his brothers were going to die. I think that was an accident that played well for him. The question there, though, is whether he ever realized that. I was wondering towards the end, something happens and he finds himself in that area, and I'm like, is there going to be bodies down there? Is that like, did they ever find the bodies? I don't remember if he ever said that when talking to Sophia in the previous episode about like his family and stuff. If they ever found
all he said was that the city took them. I don't think he really specified.
Right, which that was, he was talking to Vic about that, but I don't know if he...
And we all assumed that meant like they got wrapped up in gangster stuff.
Yeah. Right, which I think...
Literally the city took them.
Yes, but I think what's also interesting there, and the interesting part of that very first moment before they leave, is to show how normal of a family the brothers were, at least. The mother clearly is like a bookie for Rex, I guess. It's also interesting to find out that their father went off into the military, it sounds like, based on what Rex said. So I guess he died in, I'm assuming, the Gulf, I would guess. Or he left and just abandoned them, but it sounded like he said it's like, oh, that ROTC stuff, and it's like, okay. So I think that was interesting. And now even his mother, up to this point, is a pretty normal mother. Like you see how Oz was reacting to when the brothers were playing, and he thought like his mother was going to scold them, and then she joins in on their fun and all that, and that kind of like threw him off, obviously in a more jealous way. But it does show a different side to his mother than we've seen, where she's very manipulative. In this case, she isn't at this point in time. She's just a mother doing whatever she needs to do. So I think that setup, while not heavy-handed, is there for the audience to kind of pick up on.
Now that we've seen this, do you really think she's still manipulative? Because I don't think so. I think I think that this day messed her up.
Yes, no, totally. I think that, yes, when we find out at the end of this show what happens, I think that, yes, I think this was a traumatic event for her, and this completely just like forced. She feels like she's owed something, right? And she almost says that in the end. But I guess we'll get to that later.
How about that scene where they're watching TV? Did you guys catch what was on the TV?
The top hat.
Just all the guys in the traditional 1950s Batman Penguin outfit. Just tuxedo, top hat.
Yeah,
love that.
Did you catch the opening song too?
Yes.
Islands in the Stream. Oh, that's kind of morbid.
Yeah.
A double entendre too. Yeah, I was like, oof, that was morbid foreshadowing.
So let's cut to the next scene here. If we're done talking about the opening flashback or the flashbacks in general.
What do you think about the drowning, Ben? What did that do to you?
The drowning part? I really thought it was going to pay off in a different way. And I mentioned my other thoughts on the intro here, but the part specifically where he's the responsible one for his brothers dying, I really wish it would have paid off in a way that we know how that affected him, because we know that, his mother certainly went through it. I'm sure he went through it when finding out that his brothers are dead. But does he ever come to the realization that it was his fault? Um,
Mm.
you would have to assume so, but we don't know if they know they were found or anything. So I wish that moment had paid off more, because what is the point? Like, what is the point of having your main character accidentally kill his brothers if he never finds out about it? Well, what does that actually do to the character development?
So
Nothing.
I have a feel. I think this might come up in the next episode.
I agree. I think there'll be a payoff.
Yes.
And
Based
maybe
on-
another flashback or whatever. So
Maybe I think it has to do more with the mother and things that happen. There's a therapy scene that we see.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
at that point, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know what happened.
Well,
And
that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna make her. They're gonna tell her that he did it.
Right.
That's obvious, right?
I think yes. I think he's gonna admit to it in the
Yeah.
next episode.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of setup. Whatever. We'll get there. This is so there's quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, we don't have to follow like the structure. I think we can. This is an episode where we can just talk about the episode, right? We don't have to go
Yeah.
scene
I
by scene,
suppose.
because this is really a discussion episode. I think, right? Like, there's so many, or there's really not that many, but there's a bunch of stuff here that connects with other stuff. So
Yeah.
if we go scene by scene, it's gonna get.
Yeah. So I mean, okay. So in that case, I think the fact that you see twice now the Monroe, which is the jazz club, right? That's where him and his mother went when she finally, I guess, broke out of her depression, which he had talked about. Like, they would, at random intervals, she would get dressed up and they would go and dance. And the fact that now at the end of the episode, you see that that's where they take her.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost the entire episode is going to be in the Monroe, the next episode. And there's going to be, and the way that Sophia talks about wanting Oz to feel pain, I think he wants her plan is to make his mother hate him and then kill her.
Yep.
Or maybe not even kill her. Maybe she kills him or he kills her.
I would love for the final episode of this show to be a bottle episode that's just dialogue. Like, I know that sounds really boring to some people. I love bottle episodes that happen all in one location and it's just like tense talking. Like 12 Angry Men is one of my favorite movies ever made.
Yeah, I would agree, because it's been some of my favorite moments in the show. Has just been people like, that's why I loved the previous episode so much, because I mean, many of the scenes that I really relished were just two people talking in a room, And I hope, but we'll see.
I would love that if the show was better, but it's
I agree.
No.
Yeah.
It's not on that level. It can pull it off. If it does that, it's gonna ruin it, because it's not that deep.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It is good guy, bad girl.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it will.
Also, good guy's actually bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be that. I think it could be a majority, because like we still haven't gotten the payoff from Vic, right? Like Vic disappears at the beginning of the episode because Oz tells him to go, and we
He's
don't
also
have a payoff yet.
He's also alive for no reason. Like, why did she keep him alive?
Yes.
He's alive for no reason.
That's
And then we don't see him again the entire episode.
Yeah, that's one of my issues with the episode. I'm like, the Vic is just kind of like, he's been right there, like his right hand man every episode, like getting more and more importance, within the organization, But I guess he's just nowhere to be seen in this. And I don't know, maybe there's a betrayal coming. Who knows? But
yeah,
that was one of my issues with the episode. So
I thought when she was bringing the car in, I thought his body was going to be in it. I thought that was going to be the thing instead of the bomb, or instead of his mom. I thought it was going to be Vic, because we had.
I just knew it wasn't his mom.
Yeah,
that's what I knew.
Yeah,
that was a good double misdirect, because at first I thought when the guy was running away, I'm like, okay, it's a bomb in the car, and then he like walks up and with the blanket, I'm like, oh, did she really kill someone? They had you going. His eyes were welling up. He was getting like a little bit frantic, and then he shows the bomb. Okay, it's a bomb. So, but so it was good.
Wouldn't you almost say it's more Sophia's show than the Pigman show? I think she's getting way more backstory. She's a way more interesting character. She has way more depth to her, as we've seen this episode, than Oz. What do you think about that?
I think
Yeah,
that's I would agree a bit, but I think that's more because we didn't expect anything out of her
Yeah.
coming into it, right? I think it's more of an expectation thing, given that the show is The Penguin. We're expecting a lot from Oz, and we do get a lot, but then we have this secondary character that we didn't know really anything about, and we're getting a ton of from. So I think it's more of that we didn't expect her to be this standout that she has been.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's very appropriate to the Batman universe, right? Because I think part of the biggest superheroes, Batman, Spider-Man, etc., is like they need good villains to oppose them, right? And so if the show didn't have a good, fleshed out, well written, well performed, well acted antagonist, I don't think it wouldn't be near the show that it is. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
If you weren't married, Ben, would Sophia be it for you?
Not with that haircut.
Did you notice that she didn't blink until the mother started freaking out? And that's when she started blinking. She was like, her eyes were open wide the whole time. Great actress, but she deserves every award for this episode alone. She was amazing again. But as soon as she noticed that the mom was like getting into a flashback attack or whatever you call it, she started blinking and got more humane again. Which she did before in other episodes too, which is her character, to me anyway, is way more interesting than the Penguin. I hope he dies and she survives and she's in the Batman too.
She's the Penguin.
Yeah, the mother actress is exceptional as well. That entire scene with her, how she went from like being this super in control, sassy talk back, starting to get at like Sophia's pain points, and all of a sudden she flips on a dime to like having I always confuse it to Alzheimer's or whatever.
I think it's
episode.
Dementia. I think she has dementia. Yeah,
I
I
always
think that's what
confuse
she
it
has.
too. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
isn't
it's
she
so
that
well done.
She always goes back to that point. Like, don't you think it's not dementia, but she's like so traumatized that she, she
really
always goes
is.
back to that day.
I think so. I think that's her primary memory recall. I think part of it is that it seems to be unresolved too. Like their bodies were never recovered, possibly, that we know of. But yeah,
Right.
I do think we get another flashback. I think Justin, you mentioned that some sort of payoff with that. It would be. I hope so, at least.
Yeah, I definitely think you see Sophia realize. Like, I don't know if she had known up to that point that his mother was not right. You know,
Yeah.
it gets to the point where she just thinks she's some, cold hard bitch that's Oz's mom who enabled him to be this way or raised him to be this way until she realizes, oh, she's troubled. And then she realizes, oh, she's a person. I don't know that that's going to stop her from killing her, but there's definitely a recognition switch that goes off.
Yeah.
It's basically the other way around, right? She tells her like, you created the monster, but he's the one who created the monster. Like, he's the one who made his mom go crazy, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I definitely think she's got obviously PTSD style issues from that.
Yeah.
But she's obviously has. If you've ever been around somebody with dementia, she very clearly has dementia to me. In addition to all that, so
yeah.
What do you think about Maroney's great exit of the show?
That, I mean, when I started to see it happen in that train. So first of all, leading into it, I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm into it. I was a little like, all right, everybody's just cool with this. Like, which on one hand, I'm like, okay, I guess. Like, they're just, henchmen. They're like, all right, if they pay me, fine. But then they turned around. They pull the wires. Some of the lights turn off. Not all of them. Like, okay.
Got the
just
generators,
enough to
remember?
cause a distraction.
I guess enough to cause a distraction. And then they all win. Okay. Sure.
Off screen too.
Yes. And then Sal, I mean, I get it. Like, I forget the actor's name who plays Sal. But
Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Like, he's older, obviously. Like, both actors are a bit older. And so like the fighting that they kind of the tussle is a little ridiculous. And the fact that he just has a heart
Keels
attack
over.
is funny. But I think because at first when I saw it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Is this really how this is going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think it works because I think Oz believes it. Like him going through that whole motion, being like, I won, right? Like before he actually dies, he's like, look, I did it, right? Like, and it's like, you didn't do shit. You did nothing. And to kind of, to your point,
He
Locke,
needed that payoff.
yes, he
for
needed
himself.
it, but he didn't do it. Like he didn't do anything. And I
Right.
think to Locke's point, like that he's just a guy. And
Yeah.
really he's just lucky. In some aspects, like he has shitty luck, but also good luck. Because things have just worked for him. You know, and I think that this continues to show that it like he keeps tripping into his success. And there's literally no better point than that death. Because he like, why? It makes no sense. Out of all the things, like he couldn't have died when he like was pissing him off, talking about his family and like the smell and all this, like, you know, and Sophia almost freaking dies too from from a panic attack. And I'm like, and when she was having it, I'm like, oh great, is she just gonna keel over too? Like, is this how this is gonna go? Maybe that's how it does
moment,
go in the next episode.
that moment where, well, there's the whole Gia angle, where, you know, I don't really know what the payoff for that's going to be, but essentially,
we already got it.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what do you mean?
It makes Sophia more humane, and it made
True. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's that whole scene where she realizes, like, oh, this little girl's been stripped of her innocence at, you know, such a young age, and it's my fault. It just really makes Sophia, like, you see in that moment, like, yeah, she's done some terrible things, but I think she might be, all that might be an act in retribution for being locked away by her family, because she was a pretty, all accounts, you know, she seemed like a pretty good person before she went in there. That 10 years in Arkham does something to you, I'm sure, but she definitely, her humanity starts to shine through, but only for a moment.
Yeah, well, I think it's more that, and I don't know if this is their reason to do this, but I think going into this, we look at Oz obviously as a bad guy, but he's our bad guy, right? Like he's our good guy, and Sophia is just evil, pure evil. But as each episode goes on, you see that she has more of a reason for why she's the way she is. Whereas now, especially with the revelation that Oz is the reason his brothers are dead, and seemingly has no remorse through the whole episode. Now, again, we don't know if it's because he doesn't know or whatever, but he is more evil because he doesn't care. She does care. Like that mini PTSD attack that she had when she was in the orphanage, you know, where she felt like it was like she was in Arkham again for a moment, and, you know, realizes the cuts on Gia's arm and how much she really messed up this girl, to then come back. And I do think for a moment she was going to do whatever Oz told her, to be like, yeah, give me my mom, you'll take everything. And she was like, okay, fine. Like she, up until Rush kind of snapped her out of it, I think she was going to go with it, considering like the panic attack she was having and everything. So she does have more humanity than I think we've given her credit for in the past. But then you still get a little bit of that with how Oz was with Vic at the beginning of the episode, even though, yeah, why is Vic alive? But he was like, Vic, screw like your apology, get your guilt, like get out, go and like save yourself, get the other families to like come and help. So he does care a little bit too. So I don't know.
Well, that's the parallel of the episode, right? Oz doesn't care or doesn't even realize he killed his brothers, and Sophia realizes that she did this to this little girl. I think that's the whole point of the episode.
Probably. I think you're right.
accountability and no accountability there. I think Sophia also recognizes herself in Gia, of course. They're in pretty much the same situation. Because at first I was like, why don't you take her in? Why don't you become her guardian?
Yeah.
But then she explains to her, like, yeah, you need to get out of this messed up family. That's the only chance you have. Which is like a beautiful messed up gesture, I think.
Yeah.
So I
she
think-
realizes she's trapped in the system too. Like, that's why she
Yeah.
says it. Like, she's trapped in the system. Like,
Yeah,
she's almost like, break the chain. Like, get out of here.
exactly. Break the chain. Yeah, exactly. So I think Sophia got redemption this episode, and I really wonder if we're gonna see that for Oz next episode too.
No.
You don't think so?
Not a chance.
No,
I just
you're
don't think
probably
so.
right. You're
feel
right.
I mean,
You're-
it's the Penguin. He doesn't get
Yeah.
redemption. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I feel
Always.
like, yeah.
I feel like after all this time, he has to at least pretty much know that he more or less led to his brother's deaths at this point after all these years. I think that's part of his guilt that he hasn't talked about. Like, he's talked about his guilt a few times with Sophia and others, but I think deep down that's part of at the core of who he is, alongside like wanting to provide for his mother, I suspect. But yeah, that scene between Gia and Sophia was good because, like Justin and Locke just mentioned, it really was like she was talking to a younger self. So it was like she was giving her younger self advice. And another point that you guys mentioned was how the Penguin's just always looking out for himself. When he woke up Vic, and he's like, not even really asking how he is. He's like, "Where's my mom?" You know, just he sees Vic in that moment as an agency to get what he wants and needs. And I may be misremembering, but another scene is when he notices the bomb in the car. He doesn't even say bomb that I recall. He just immediately runs. Like, he's just like, screw these guys. I'm running. I'm saving myself. You know.
Yep.
Which
And
made no sense. He could have easily said bomb. Like,
No, yeah.
But again, it's in his nature to just self-preservation. You know, I'm going to run. And
He did scream something, but I don't remember what it was.
No,
Oh,
he
he
just
did?
said,
Oh.
I think he just said, fuck. And then
I think he just
Right away.
ran. Yeah.
that's literally, I think, all he did. And he didn't even scream it. It was like kind of like under his breath that
Well,
he's realizing.
That's another issue too. Why would you have them meet you directly at your lair where they can just like assault it?
That's true.
Meet it like a giant open area that's like middle of day or something.
I think it's because it was supposed to show like his gesture of like, hey, I'm showing you where the lab is.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, the whole thing was an exchange, like my mom for the whole operation, for everything.
I guess,
That was
but
the exchange.
He just pulled off a thing a few episodes ago where it was he went into someone else's lair and sprung a trap. Granted, that scene was kind of dumb too, but it was just okay. Like Locke has mentioned, like, we're in a comic book show, you know. At the end of the day,
Yeah, the show doesn't know how to pull off an ambush. That's clear now. This is like
They need
okay.
ambush coordinators for sure. I don't know.
What do you guys think of the way the showrunners give a CW actor and character a chance to shine in this show in Rush, who's a great character, great actor.
I don't know, man.
What do you think of that?
I was thinking about it. I was like, this must be like their answer to like a Joker Harley Quinn thing, where it's like the person in the insane asylum manipulates the doctor. That's basically like how Joker and Harley Quinn was. It's like the broad origin story. I'm guessing that's sort of their like gender swaps version of that of sorts. But yeah, I don't know. Every time he's on screen, I'm just like, can we like just get this over with? He has like the most goofy. He has like the most goofy look on his face, and he's just like, I don't know. It's very bizarre. But
I really think we're underestimating what this character. I think it's a bad character, but I think they have bigger plans for it somehow, and obviously not in this show. But the fact that he's been in, I think, almost every episode, right? He's been in almost every episode, and maybe not the first one or two, but
right.
And we really haven't seen him do anything consequential. If you removed his character from the show, there's only one or two little things that would change, and it's only backstory. But I think that there's a reason they have him in there, and he's in there so frequently. And it's not just because he's some A-list actor. Like, he's not. He's known, of course, and he's not a bad actor in general. But I just don't understand it. But I'm thinking that, like, just the fact that he definitely makes the assertion, like, oh, well, should we kill Gia? Like, basically, you know, whenever he's like, is she going to be a problem? It's like, well, what if she is? Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, like, are you going to kill her? Is that what you're going to do? And then what does that do for your character here? Or are you just the simp for for Sophia? And if you are, what does that do for the plot progression? I don't understand that character at all. I really thought after he was introduced in that first episode, not the first episode, but the first episode he was introduced in, I really thought they were going to do something cool with him, and maybe they will eventually, but I don't think it's going to be in this season.
But they got 40 minutes
or in
left
this
to
show.
do it.
In the show, yeah, exactly.
Is that the last episode? 40 minutes?
No, I think the last episode will be an hour or
No.
maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, his character, what he did in this episode is interesting, which was using his ability, right? His profession, which we didn't get to see in reality, but it could be that they did get enough information out of Francis to make whatever's going to happen in the Monroe happen in this next episode. And it might be that that's where that realization, because one, Sophia was able to realize it before, right? Like when she was having her, Francis was having her episode, that like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, where do you think you are? Obviously, she didn't get an answer to that, but also like, I think she picked up on that. The thing with her with Oz's brothers has not been finalized, and so I think that that's really where Rush's character might come in a bit more. Is how much information does she actually know about what happened, and then using that, I'd actually wonder if what'll happen is they're going to recreate the Monroe to a T, because presumably that club has been shut down for however many years now. But I wonder if they're going to clean it up and make it like exactly the way it was the day that, she, the last time that she was there with Oz or something, to like really get it going, play the same music, do that whole like present flashback deal.
That is probably what they're gonna do. I think I would be very surprised if they don't do all of that, really.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't, because that would mean it's such a predictable show, and it's way less good than we thought it was at the start. But if they do, I mean, I don't see how they can at this point. Like it's a clear setup from every angle. Like that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna get the mom. They're gonna get him to confess to his mom. His mom is gonna hate him, and then they're gonna kill her, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has to get away at the end because he's in the Batman too. So we already know he survived. So I'm guessing Sophia goes back to Arkham, and then Rush becomes Scarecrow. Maybe Ben. Who do you think he is? Because Scarecrow, I don't think so. It's too convoluted at this point. I don't think they're gonna do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I don't know. If I was to put money on a bet, I think he would get killed off in the finale. But yeah, if he ends up being like a rogues gallery villain, I think it would be Scarecrow. I don't think it would be Hugo Strange, but maybe, who knows?
He definitely has the particular set of skills to be Scarecrow, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think it's possible that they still turn him into that, although I doubt he's going to be the big bad of Batman 2.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not compelling enough, in my opinion.
No.
And I mean, the Scarecrow's always been like a secondary character, a secondary villain. Even he's never been the big villain. But I don't really know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I just think that he's not inconsequential enough to just be fodder for Sophia's vanity. Like, there's more to him than that, but there's not enough to him to be consequential in any future media, in my opinion.
You know what kind of makes me think otherwise? I hope you're right, because that would be awesome. But I think the way he just turned into, like, the way he just ingrained himself in Sophia, and the way the writers just assumed that was the reason. There's no reason he does anything here. Like, he saw Sophia in Arkham, and now they're best buddies, and they fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So maybe we get some more development there, but it's the last episode, and there's not going to be a season 2, or at least they haven't confirmed the season 2. So it's a miniseries. So I hope you're right, though. That would be so cool if he turns out to be like a major player in the Batman. But I don't see how they're gonna do that in 60 minutes. And at this point, I would love for her to be something in the Batman too.
Mm-hmm.
do you think that's possible? Maybe that she appears in there somehow.
Oh yeah, if she's still alive, which I have some doubts about, I think she could definitely be some sort of major player in the Batman 2. But I don't think I think it's think older than the last Batman movie. But you know how it was always like Catwoman was always kind of a bad person, but also she and Batman were kind of interested in each other. It could very much be like that, where she's like, he knows she's a bad guy, she knows she's a bad guy, but there's still a little bit of a relationship there. You know, maybe it's not even sexual, but like there's some tension, right? So I think it could be something like that. And at the same time, I see with Cobb, I see he's not a great overall villain. Like he's not on the level of the Joker or the Riddler or anything like that. He's just a crook. And that's kind of all he's ever been in Batman lore. He's just been a common crook that has been, you know, one of Batman's bad guys.
Except in Batman Returns.
Except in Batman Returns. That's correct. I really think that neither one of them have the power to do some like citywide, you know, monster thing. But also, we had a 4chan user as the main villain in the last movie. So, I mean, who knows what they could do? And it was a great movie.
Yeah.
So it's not even that I'm, you know, thinking that was saying that was a bad villain. It's just the compelling part of Batman is Batman. So I guess whatever bad guys you surround them with it's going to be an interesting movie.
Well, I think the poster already confirmed it's Dr. Freeze, right, or Mr. Freeze, right? Because with the eyes, well, they haven't confirmed.
Oh, it's just ice. It could be anything. I mean,
I don't think they've announced anything official yet. As far as
but I mean, if you're gonna put eyes in your poster and it's one of your major, I mean, they could go.
I didn't even know they released the poster yet, but yeah, it would make sense given the flood and all that. But
yeah.
Well, could it also be that maybe what happens in the finale, and now we're just kind of guessing, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But I wonder if now in the finale, if Oz, like, he wins, right? In quote unquote wins. However that is. Whether Sophia's dead, whether she goes to Arkham, whether she leaves, whatever, doesn't matter. He wins. And then they introduce the real villain for Batman, whether it's Mr. Freeze. He shows up and it's like, yeah, this is my shit now, you know, and beats him and he's like, fuck, you know, and like, because I think that actually would continue to play with Oz's like inability to actually make it to the top. He's always just not able to actually get there. So I actually think that could very possibly happen. Like right, the last 5 minutes of the show is he wins. He thinks he's got it all, everything, and then boom, nope. You know, you're mine now.
It's a great, great.
Whether it's Mr. Freeze, whether it's whoever.
Yeah, that'd be a cool payoff. Because I know a lot of, including myself, I still think that like Bruce Wayne is going to show up for like a scene or something at the very end of the season. But yeah, if they use the show partially to reveal who
that's hopium right there. That's hopium.
Well,
that's not real. There's nothing to base that on.
They love the fans. Come on, they love the fans. They want to service the fans. Yeah. But another thing, I think I don't want to be too negative, but to go back to one of the scenes I had an issue with, I was racking my brain. Was there any hints that that Sal had heart problems? I'm trying to remember. Like, did he mention it? Did he was he taking medicine?
You know,
like, it just
I think they wanted us to think it was a heart attack, but part of me when it first happened thought, oh, when he was tussling there. And by the way, that's how like real life fights usually look, not movie fights. Like that actually was, I thought, a decent representation of two old men fighting.
Well,
you know, I thought that was okay. But anyway, remember he got stabbed right there where he was holding, like right under his heart.
Mm-hmm.
He got stabbed right there, and I thought maybe that like some sort of injury flared back up or ripped open or whatever. I know it's been months at this point since that happened.
Yeah.
But again, he's an old man, so I didn't necessarily think it was a heart attack. Maybe it was, but it seemed a little bit like, oh, it's that same spot where he got stabbed. Maybe something triggered there. I don't know.
I'm laughing now. I'm imagining originally in the script they had a really good fight scene or something, and they just couldn't do it because of two old men. Yeah. So they just wrote in like has heart attack and keels over and dies. But no, that was one that I was like racking my brain. Like, did I miss something? Am I that bad of a watcher of TV? But
I don't know. I think anybody 60 plus you put in a high intensity situation and have them fighting, there's a chance of a heart attack there, you know?
Yeah, but it's like Locke said originally. It's like it kind of demystifies the Penguin, right? Because he's using that moment to like,
it only demystifies him for us. He's still
we
presenting the way he wants to. Everybody else just assumes he killed Sal.
Yeah, because that's what he tells. That's what he tells. Yeah, she tells Rush that he killed Sal.
Yeah, and he shot. I mean, that's why I was waiting to see if he was going to shoot him, because that was going to be for sure. He's going to take credit. He's like, "Oh yeah, I beat him." And look, you see, you know, and obviously it was right outside the stupid cart. Again, you don't hear anything else happening, but you know, it's fine. Yeah. Everyone else
soundproof.
It's completely soundproof cart in a tunnel, and it's made of steel. But you know, that's fine. So presumably they heard the gunshots, and he's completely taking credit for beating him.
Well, he also takes the ring, right? That's like the significance of power. That's what he takes now. He takes the power. Quite literally.
Yeah, very symbolic.
The bargaining chip from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think about the door that he finally opens where his brothers died and he falls down there? I thought that was going to be like a good emotional moment, but there was like nothing there.
Yeah.
He just fell and then he got back up and like, oh, okay.
Part of me thought, that's the same door. And then there was another part of me that was like, well, presumably everywhere in the city where they had those doors, they used the same exact design.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was supposed to evoke the same emotion, of course. But if that's the thing I like keep saying, like there's no payoff yet for his brother's death with him being responsible, because if he just opens a random sewer door and goes in it, like even in that moment, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna pause and be like, oh,
well, hold on,
like,
actually,
I got him. You know, like I don't know.
Now that I think about it, I think because it was kind of weird that they did a close up on his foot when he stepped on the ladder, and I thought it was because it was going to break, but he was able to climb up, and I wonder if they're showing that to either two things, either to show that he's been able to, either he was able to climb down that ladder the whole time, and so that it was very intentional what he did in the beginning with his brothers, or he's stronger now, so he's able to climb. I kind of think it might be more that they're trying to show he could have done this from the beginning. It wasn't his leg that made this impossible for him to climb down to play with his brothers. He was already just pissed and just used this as an opportunity because they were teasing him about that. Or they weren't even really teasing him. He took that as an offense. They didn't do anything.
His brothers
I thought they were just trying to do some fun cinematography stuff. I didn't think there was any.
Well,
I could be wrong, but
no, I think we're doing it again. We're giving the show too much credit, I think.
No, I don't think so. And here's why. Because I thought that bottom step was going to break. It looked like it was broken, right? It was detached.
It was.
Yes, it was detached from the other side. It seemed very easy that thing was going to break. He was going to fall back down. Maybe that was going to happen, and they cut that whole section out. You know, for time. Why, I don't know. But I do think in some ways that they left that part in to show that, because I don't see why. Like, I don't think it's fair to necessarily say that they're not smart enough to set that up, because why would they have
No, I think they did set it up, but it's just so on the nose. Like what you're saying is true. Well, what you're saying is definitely true, but that's like, it's not deep. It's like like at the end he gets out of the hole where he couldn't go down before. Like that's the whole thing.
Yes.
Like now he can do it. Look, he's stronger. He's better. He's the penguin. But I mean that's not. I don't think that's like really intensively deep or smart or I think that's just obviously.
How about like a whole block of the city collapses?
Well, that's the bigger thing.
He manages to get up. But he manages to get up out of there, and then a guy who's looking for him just happens to find him amongst all the rubble. Just, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
You got to hit him with a crowbar.
Well, and a guy we haven't seen in a while, too. And for a moment, I'm like, wait, who is this guy? And I'm like, oh, it's the detective. That's who it is.
The one junkie guy. Yeah.
And also, why? Because he was going to go there anyway to get his mom. Like, she called him, come get your mom. So why does he have to get kidnapped, too? Like, he was already going to go there.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to happen with Vic next episode? There's going to be a big payoff there. I think that's going to be the biggest payoff there.
Yeah, I think the two big payoffs. I think why I think Rush dies. I think Rush's kind of payoff with him is that he gets it. They kind of use him to put one and one together to psychoanalyze his mom and to get out of Penguin that he killed. Well, basically led to the deaths of his brothers. And then I think Vic is maybe going to have like some sort of betrayal. I suspect because I don't know.
He sent it.
Go ahead.
He sent him away to go get people, right?
Yeah,
Like
an army.
He told him.
Yeah, but it was
So
like
I really hope it's not just like Vic rolls in and saves the day. Like that's.
I
just
hope
so
not
lame.
either. It was like again, maybe I'm going to revert back to Locke's thinking, and I'm like giving them too much credit. But he was like suspiciously gone from the episode. So I'm like, like man, was that part of their plan? Was to like knock Vic out? They got him to betray Penguin or whatever. But
they when he was at the whatever his den, I forget what it's called. Whatever. He calls him. Or he tells his guy, like, hey, have you heard from Vic? And he's like, no, he goes straight to voicemail. And that's the last we hear of anything related to Vic for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
So that can go either way because in the first episode or the second episode, I can't remember, the same thing happened, right? It's like it went to voicemail and then he shows up and saves the day. And I guess it's interesting that didn't happen in this case. But we don't, I do think he's probably going to show up and save the day.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope it's not like a Deus Ex Machina thing, but we'll see.
It would be so funny if his stuttering doesn't come into play. We've been discussing that for every week now, and we're analyzing like that's gonna be big in the end. And then,
well, he didn't stutter when he was talking to Oz when he woke up, so maybe when he was eating on the side of the head fixed it.
Oh, maybe that's his big payoff.
Yeah. When he didn't have a stutter when he was like woozy coming out of like basically being knocked out like a mini coma. We'll see.
I really have kind of thought all along that his stutter was just a character piece. I didn't know that it was a plot piece necessarily, but you guys could be right. Maybe it will come into play. I just thought it was like here's just this young kid.
He has a stutter
who seems to have a nice family. Yeah, we got to make him interesting somehow.
I think he's
got a stutter. Oh yeah, okay.
There's so many specific points where it does and doesn't. Like that one flashback when he was talking to his girlfriend, he was totally fine because he was like comfortable and at ease. And then later on, I think the episode or a couple episodes ago, when he was talking to the mother trying to lie to her about, oh yeah, Oz did this. You know, Oz killed the whole family in the house, and he caught himself, and he was like, yeah. So I am wondering, like, if he does end up betraying them, and Oz kind of catches him stuttering, knowing he's lying about betraying him. But yeah, I really hope that he's not like a Deus Ex Machina comes in to save the day, but we'll see.
You know what's fun? We're gonna do some predictions here. Like everyone should say, apart from the penguin, who obviously survives. Like who dies and who survives, or what? Let's start with Sophia. What happens to Sophia, Ben?
See, I'm 50-50 on her. I think there's a pretty good chance she lives specifically because of it's Gigante now, but the Maroni and the Falcone families. Those are like Batman staples since the beginning of the comics. So part of me thinks that sticks around for that legacy. But on the other hand, I don't know if it serves a future plot for her to stay alive.
So what
happens? I don't really see what I mean. Presumably she dies in the midst, but I think my final statement is going to be she lives, but not without some. She's going to go back to nothing, essentially.
So she lives.
I think so.
Justin.
I think she lives. How or why, I don't know. Whether it is she goes back to Arkham, I feel like that's almost for her worse than dying. So I think that would be a win for Oz if he was able to make that happen, but I just don't see how that would happen. So I don't know. I do think that she'll live though. I think there's going to be a few more people living than we'd anticipate. And then it's like, okay, what the hell are we going to do with these people?
Nothing. You'll never see them again.
Never see them. Movie's going to come out and be like, yeah, that show you watched doesn't matter.
Bill, what do you think?
I think she dies, and I've thought that because my my sort of prevailing theory with this show is that it is like almost like a Penguin origin story of him becoming like a bigger member of the Rogues Gallery, and I think it ends with him basically being the overlord of all of the organized crime in the city. So that's why I think she dies. Would be my guess.
All right.
Because I don't think she's gonna like she wants Oz dead and she wants him to suffer. I don't know that. Again, I mean, putting her in Arkham would be a crueler fate. I think maybe Justin just mentioned that or Ben, but yeah, that would be the crueler fate for her than dying. But yeah, I think the point of this show is to basically make Penguin the overlord, undisputed overlord of organized crime in Gotham. So
I mean, he kind of is already because he's got all those other families, and she has her entire family is dead, and now all the Maronis are dead. So what? Well, she's her and Julian now.
I mean, yeah, I think he's well on his way, but I mean, he's currently like.
Right. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but I think it will like 100% ironclad cement him as the overlord by the end of the show. But that's been my prevailing theory. But we'll see. Maybe he could end up dying at the end. Who knows? But
I think she goes to Arkham because that would be poetically beautiful.
Yeah, that would be the cruelest fate for sure.
But again, the show is not that smart, so it wouldn't surprise me if she just gets a heart attack or cancer and dies. So,
yeah, everyone except Rush dies. Everyone except Rush dies. And Locke just screams. Locke just screams the entire episode recording that.
What happens to Vic, Ben?
I think Vic. I don't know if he lives or dies. I don't think he betrays. I've never thought he was going to betray him. Even the episode where he seems like he's going to run off with his girlfriend, I was like, there's no way that's happening. Like, he's definitely not doing that. I think he, at this point, the closest thing he has to family is Oz, and short of them, going across the country, getting his girlfriend that he cares about somewhat and threatening her, I don't think there's any reason for him to betray Oz or any gain from it, for that matter. He already knows what a psycho Sophia can be. So I don't know what happens to him because we have literally nothing from this episode to go off of. The last thing we know of him is he was dancing with Francis. And then he gets hit in the head and they leave him alive, only to rush back into the room a couple minutes later to take Oz out. I don't know. That whole thing, I didn't like that whole entire setup for that scene. But I think he tries to come back in and tries to help. I'm afraid that they're going to give him a bigger part in the either rescue or damnation of Oz than he deserves, because he's not the main character, and I'm afraid they're going to turn him into the sub-hero, essentially.
Mm-hmm. All right, so no betrayal. Justin?
I mean, I think he's going to live. And I do think I'm along the ride there with Ben, in that I do think that he will be the sub-hero of bringing in the army. It's this crescendo of Avengers, like, all the cars pull up, they come out, lock guns. All right, guys, here we go. Beautiful music playing. And then Oz stands up and it's like, we're the Gold Summit. It's some stupid shit like that.
Penguin puts on his top hat and umbrella.
Yes.
Discharge.
I think if Vic dies, it's because Oz betrays him. I don't think.
That's what I think too.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think there's some sort of quick, desperate act of self-preservation on Oz's part, and he disposes of Vic out of necessity.
Yep,
because it's going to be like reinforcing that this is a bad guy who will do whatever it takes for his own self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
So
and then the last Rush. Then what happens to Rush?
I thought we already did Rush, didn't we?
No.
Well, just to clarify,
not officially.
What do you think?
Yeah, not officially.
What do you think? Does he live? Does he die? What happens with him?
I think he lives, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why they're going to make him.
I think you're thinking like the showrunners now, so that's good.
Yeah. I think they're going to keep him alive, and I don't understand what the point of that is.
To torment Locke.
Of him.
No other reason.
What do you think, Justin?
I think they'll keep him alive. If Sophia goes to Arkham, I think he does too. I think at that point he'll meet with the Riddler and Joker, and that will solidify him as Scarecrow.
Oh.
That's what I think will happen. I think he will lose his mind in there, truly.
Okay. What do you think, Bill?
I could see him living, to be honest. The problem is here is I really don't care about him that much to have it. But yeah, I don't know. Part of me just the way that these like sort of spin-off TV shows go, where they don't really want to like link it too much to the main movies. I'm just thinking like he'll die, but who knows? I think why not? Just maybe make him live. It would be funny, like if like a bunch of them die, but he's the one that lives at the end. But yeah, I'll say he lives just for fun.
I'm gonna say he dies for fun because
For fun.
Somebody has to. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So he dies.
I could see it, like I said earlier, going either way.
Yeah, his is the most like 50-50, I think, for me personally. But
All
I
right.
think what you said there about not caring is the real thing. Is
well,
if
because
he
like
dies,
if he
it's
lives,
inconsequential, and if he lives, it's inconsequential.
yeah, I was gonna say if he lives, like he's not gonna. I can't imagine he's gonna even have like one scene in the Batman 2, to be honest with you. But
And then the last question: does Bruce Wayne or Batman show up? Either of them?
No.
Not directly. It would be an indirect, something on the news. Which we have, which
Yeah,
is
I
kind
got
of
it or
weird. We
something.
haven't seen that at all. We haven't seen a single thing about like Wayne. What is it? Wayne Industries or Wayne Enterprise?
Wayne Enterprises, yeah.
Yeah, like offer, donates X money, blah blah. We haven't seen a thing, which is kind of weird.
Does him appearing on like TV or news or something count, or do he has to like be like
No, he has to be.
he has to be like on
be
like in the scene in the flesh?
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne. Yeah, screw it. I'll say yes. I've been on that train. I can't get off now. Like I can't.
I'll say
I'd be a fraud.
yes too.
Let's go.
So-
Let's go. All right.
I'll say yes too.
Yeah, join me.
I think they have to at this. I think they will. I mean, it's so stupid that they have to.
It would be cool if there was some sort of little kernel or nugget for the Batman 2, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. I got all the predictions here. That's it. Beautiful.
Nice.
What does the winner get?
Eternal glory.
Oh.
My new dog.
Oh,
Get to-
okay.
no.
Deal.
No.
The winner gets Adonis. That's awesome.
Apollo.
Apollo.
Damn it.
All right. Well, then I think we have everything. Then I think we're done, right?
Yeah.
One quick thing I did chuckle at. There was an homage to the first Batman movie when he yells at Sal, I got you, which is kind of like in the same way that he yells at Batman, except this time he actually still didn't technically get him, but
Yeah.
yeah, I did chuckle at that. So
Technically, the struggle did kill him. So
part of his 5D chess, he got him. That's what he.
That's right.
Was going for. So.
Yeah.
I also liked how he said "What the fuck" when he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's like,
he
"What?
denied him
Come
his glory.
Like, this is so unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess we got one episode left. We'll be back for it. And then you'll never see us again. We'll disappear forever, just like Batman in the middle of the night.
Yep.
No, then we'll do Dune. We'll become the Dune Trotters or whatever.
Oh,
Dude,
that starts in 2 weeks.
I am not.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that show.
Come on.
For-
Okay,
I'll be watching it, but I don't know about podcasting it. We'll see.
we're so successul. We can't stop now.
Is Timothy
Because, like-
Chalamet? No, it's
like-
too much of a flashback. I was gonna say, does Timothy Chalamet show up in the Dune show? But no.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. Tell a friend. Good night. Goodbye.
Bye bye.